Alright, YouTube, after further thought, I considered something. I think James Comey's trying to warn us all. I don't think that it takes a genius to figure this out. Actually, I'm not sure why I overlooked it at first. Take a look at what Comey said and what Comey has done. Director of the FBI, of course. After the first wave of the Clinton email investigation, and then recently with his letters to Congress and so forth that were made public regarding potentially damning information found on Anthony Weiner's devices. James Comey, many months ago, when the first round of the email investigation into Clinton was going on, clearly found evidence that the law had been broken. Because if you listen to what Comey said was actually found, the law was broken. The FBI then decided not to recommend charges specifically because there was no intent found. Now, I think that's completely false. I think that he actually did find intent. But James Comey was in the unenviable position at the time, whereby he had to decide whether to skirt the law a little bit in order to preserve the United States from what essentially could have spiraled into civil war. The level of scandal that it would have caused if he had recommended charges and said, yes, she sent and received classified information. We know that that's true. She stored classified information improperly. We know that that's true. There was intent to do this. Obama, for instance, he knew it was going on, number 3. If Comey had recommended charges against Hillary Clinton, it probably would have involved more than Hillary Clinton. It would have involved all of her staffers and aides. It would have involved other people potentially who were communicating with the server, various members of Congress. It could have involved Obama himself. Comey decided that it was more important to preserve the peace than to specifically headhunt after a person when her hardened fans would look at this. And Clinton would come out and say, well, there was no intent, I did nothing wrong, essentially. There was no intent involved. Unfortunately, the average person who supports Clinton would have given her a pass. They immediately would have taken to the streets. You would have had millions of protesters across the country. It would have led to a massive power vacuum whereby not only would Trump become a shoo-in for the presidency, it wouldn't really be a democratic election because one of the candidates would be completely done basically before the general even fully began. You'd have the rise of third parties. You'd have fracturing within the Democratic Party, which would lead to chaos. You'd have so much infighting, nothing would get done. James Comey would have to worry about the Democrats and probably some of the Republicans headhunting after him. And I think at the time, the common knowledge was among the bureaucratic class, which Comey is a member of at the time, that Trump was going to lose, that he had very little chance of winning. What we've seen, however, is that the election has completely shifted from when the FBI's first investigation occurred. Now fast forward to a few days ago, what happened? James Comey once again found damning information. This time it's probably 10 times more damning because it hadn't been scrubbed. I don't think that Hillary Clinton ever prepared a contingency plan for what would happen if any of her material that she and her lawyers deleted because it was damning. I think a small proportion of the 33,000 emails that weren't turned over, I think most of them probably were yoga class emails and things of that nature. But a small selection of that was almost certainly extremely damning material that she didn't want to hand over to the FBI. Whoops, oh, yeah, I accidentally wiped this one too, says Hillary Clinton's lawyer. James Comey obviously knew that this had happened. You could tell just by looking at his face, the intonation of his voice. This is the head of the FBI. He's speaking in a very uncharacteristic manner. He stood up in front of the country, and he said, essentially, if I may paraphrase what he actually was saying, yeah, she broke the law, but if I recommend charges, all hell will break loose, so we're going to let her go. Fast forward to now, what does he do? He knows that damning information is there, stuff that's even more damning than it was before, but he still can't indict her because the same chaos will happen. He's trying to warn the entire country right now by skirting the Hatch Act, by skirting protocol, and by making it publicly known, yes, additional material has been found. The 33,000 were not completely scrubbed. Some of this material at least was backed up elsewhere in connection to a fucking sex pervert who happens to be the husband of her top aide. That's what he's trying to tell us. He couldn't simply send these letters off confidentially to Congress, say, yeah, new material might be forthcoming. He had to say it publicly. He wants to save this country from someone that he personally knows, as the head of the FBI, is completely and utterly corrupt, to the point at which the material there must necessarily be damaging enough to be utterly disqualifying, as in evidence of treason or something of that nature. That's what he found on these new materials associated with Weiner's device. That's why he managed to get a warrant. I have no doubt when that, I can't remember his name there, the Hillary Clinton backer has dropped his endorsement of Hillary Clinton because he's convinced there'll be a constitutional crisis if she's elected. I agree completely. If Hillary Clinton is elected to the presidency, don't say I didn't warn you not to vote for her, because it's going to come out after she's elected. She'll be indicted almost certainly. She's going to get dragged away in irons. She'll get impeached. And the first female president of the United States will last a few months, maybe a year, before she's completely toppled. I would ask this to all the women's rights activists or people who want progressivism. Do you want that individual to be the face of your movement? Somebody who probably will not last even the first half of her first term, that will go down so hard it'll take all the Democrats in Congress with her. You'll have a Republican supermajority in each of them. Then you end up with a President Tim Kaine taking over. Somebody who ultimately, do you really think he knows what he's doing? President Tim Kaine reigning over a Republican supermajority that can just do whatever it wants, override any veto he hands down, and say, to hell with this idiot up here. We're going to be calling the shots for the next couple of years. Because that's probably what will end up happening. There are storm clouds on the horizon right now for our country. We have two choices. It would be great if we had more than two viable parties, but at the moment we don't. The Libertarian candidate has shown himself not capable of leading the banner of the Libertarian movement ahead further than getting more states in so that they can get on the ballot. That's great. That's fine. It's progress. I fully support it. I happen to be a Libertarian myself. But he's not capable of winning the election. Too late, too much damage to his own campaign. He doesn't know where Aleppo is, apparently. It's a problem. Jill Stein is hippie grandma. I understand these candidates, and I'm not going to make the claim that a vote for a third-party candidate is a vote for Trump or a vote for Clinton or a wasted vote. No, it's not. You should vote your conscience. But think, if you are a Clinton fan, if you intend to vote for her and you're not a hardened Democratic partisan or specifically part of Hillary Clinton's cult of personality, please for a moment clear your mind and ask yourself this. Why would the director of the FBI now twice, having gone through all of this information, he knows what's there. He knows far better than the public. It was unredacted when he read it. He had access to everything, including stuff that wasn't given out anyway to the public. He knows what Clinton was doing with her server. He knows even more now, and has for apparently the last month in regards to Weiner's device. Clinton is terrified. She knows that she's at risk right now for being indicted. Do you know why she still is moving so hard to win? Because if she's elected, she's hoping, beyond hope, that she can stop them from investigating her. She broke the law. She might have committed literal treason against the United States. I wouldn't be surprised if some of this information includes proof that she's taking foreign donations into her campaign through bundlers. Proof that the Democratic Party at some level is organizing violence at Trump rallies. I mean, beyond the O'Keefe stuff. If this is documented by people like O'Keefe or WikiLeaks, it's somewhere in there with the Clinton stuff. We've seen enough damning material from the Podesta leaks. And Podesta's not Hillary Clinton or Huma Abedin. They're much higher up. Huma Abedin is the trusted advisor to Hillary Clinton, not John Podesta. He's a little peon compared to Huma Abedin. That is her top person. As in, probably sits there and talks to her every night for several hours. Not just somebody who manages a campaign, manages a field office. Her top advisor. Her ultimate confidant until a few days ago. That's the person whose material apparently was backed up inadvertently on Weiner's device. Comey is trying to tell us, without being at liberty to actually literally tell us, that the material that he found there is so vastly damaging that he had no choice but to, for the second time, risk the ire of the entire political establishment to let us know that new material had been found. He's doing this for a reason. He's not trying to fuck with our election. He's not a Russian agent. He's not allied with the Russians. He's trying to take one for the team and let us know something is up here that is so large he has no choice out of good conscience but to tell us, but because he's the head of the FBI and because of the ordinances involved preventing him from weighing in a political fashion, he can't tell all. It's too classified. It's literally, some of this stuff's probably so top secret he can't even discuss it with some of his own agents. And that's why Obama is not doing a damn thing. That's why he himself said, I believe in Comey. I'm not going to touch this issue with a 10-foot pole. That's why that's happening. That's why all of a sudden he's completely silent. He does not want to go down either because he sent and received material to the same server. As long as the focus is on Clinton, people will ignore that fact. He knows it, I know it, James Comey knows it. James Comey doesn't give a fuck about that. The material there had to be so absolutely damning that if it were to come to light, if it got leaked tomorrow, Hillary Clinton would be in a jail cell because there wouldn't be anything that anybody could do to prevent her from being indicted. James Comey will drag this out, I'm sure. Yes, the Podesta dude there in the DOJ helping with the investigation, Kadzik or something like that, of course he'll try to shield Hillary Clinton. Hopefully James Comey can stave off some interference from the DOJ for the next week so that the DOJ doesn't come out and say, oh, we found no evidence of wrongdoing, yet again she's exonerated, because that would be a lie. I can guarantee you, I can tell you with 100% certainty that the material found in connection with Weiner's device, as far as it overlaps with whatever Huma and Clinton were talking about, is disqualifying. I can guarantee it. 100% confidence on that. There's no question. Comey would not have once again stuck his dick in the beehive on behalf of the people of the United States otherwise. And for Hillary Clinton and her fans and some of her hardened supporters to constantly rant about Russia, my goodness, how fucking retarded can a person possibly be? Russia has nothing to do with this. This is the Federal Bureau of Investigation. You are simply so stricken with cognitive dissonance that you refuse to believe that there's any possibility of wrongdoing on Clinton's part. But that story doesn't match up with the behavior of all of those who have actually accessed this information fully. Not in redacted form, not in selected form, not in a belated fashion. They have ready access to every page of this material fully unredacted anytime they want. James Comey, his higher-ups, and the teams he's assigning to this stuff, they're running them all through algorithms right now. But I can guarantee you, at some point, he or somebody high up took one look at this information and said, well, there it is. There's no way to shield her anymore. We have no choice but to tell people what's going on. Because they actually have a shred of patriotism left, which puts them head and shoulders above the NSA or any of these other groups, head and shoulders above the Democrats in Congress. It's funny. See Harry Reid talking about, oh, Comey's a partisan. Harry Reid is a Democratic senator. He's the one who's a partisan. Comey would have been violating the Hatch Act if he hadn't given this information to Congress. If he hadn't allowed the public to know, yeah, there's something going on here. I can't tell you, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, but there's something corrupt going on and you deserve to know before you cast your votes. This is the second time he's done it. You think that he's doing this because he suddenly went nuts and forgot about protocol? No, this is deliberate. When he stood up in front of the country for 20 minutes and talked about how Clinton should have known better, she did send and receive classified info, she stored it improperly, there's the possibility without evidence of specifics of data intrusion. Yeah, foreign governments might have gotten a hold of top secret material because of her private server. He sat up there one line after line, point after point, and lambasted her without recommending charges. He did that to let the American voter know, yeah, she's corrupt. She's corrupt as all hell. But I can't do anything about it because it's not directly corrupt enough and or I don't want to start a civil war. Clinton should not be elected to the presidency. If you believe that it's time for a female president, okay, yeah, I agree with that. I have no problem with that. But do you want it to be somebody who might not even last through a first term because she gets impeached? I would think that would set a pretty bad precedent down the road. It'd be like Dilma mode or something like that, or whatever her name is in South Korea, who right now apparently is involved with a scandal involving a shamanistic cult of some sort, with a Rasputin figure controlling what the government does. It's insanity. She's not qualified. She's disqualified from the presidency. That's what James Comey's trying to tell you. He's not at liberty to say it literally. He can't be that open. He has to wink at you, nudge you with his elbow, and say, yeah, new information has been found. Not going to talk too much about it, folks, but remember when you go to the polls that it's a big deal. That's about all. Peace out.